Welcome to another week of High School Huddle. I'm Paul Snyder, your host, along with my co-host here, or JT. Glad to be back. You were not here last week. A little bit of a scheduling conflict, so I sat here for an hour and talked to myself. So nothing different.
Kind of normal.
Right, nothing different than what I usually do on a Wednesday afternoon, and just kind of just sit here and just talk to myself. I spoke upon a ton of different topics from injuries to just football, and I kind of stuck to football. Talked a little bit of Celtics, again, to myself, but talked more of like the logistics of like the Celtics are going to have the Nets pick next year, and the Nets are terrible this year, so everything's looking good. The Celtics are a team that can kind of make a push for playoffs and be perfectly fine wherever they land in the draft. Talked a lot of Patriots. They're still undefeated, and we'll talk a little more about that right now. Two teams left, Carolina and the Pats. I mean, if we want to just dive right into the NFL, that game against Buffalo had me on the edge of my seat as I'm wrapping Christmas presents and packing for the Thanksgiving week ahead. Just an insane game. Had me pulling my hair out at times, really.
Well, watching that game, the one thing that really frustrated me, because I really wanted the Bills to win, because as we all know, I don't like the Patriots. But besides that, right towards the end of that right towards halftime, when the ref made that bad call, which was mainly due to Rex Ryan being in the way, and he was trying to get him out of the way, but he ended up blowing the whistle. I mean, whatever, bad fiasco and bad situation. But at that moment, the Bills couldn't win that game at that moment, because no matter even if they won that game, they didn't win that game, and they would be scrutinized, and it'd be awful, it'd be a mess. And so there was really only one outcome for that to happen. And then on top of that, once that happened, what happens when you make Tom Brady angry? He kind of gets a little...
right, you pay for it.
He gets a little good. So, I mean...
The momentum definitely swung a bit after halftime, but more so after that whole issue. The Patriots were on a roll. You had Amendola catching that ball and had 30...
he had a touchdown. There was no one going to
There's no one there. There's nobody. I mean, I'm not going to go as far as to say it was a touchdown, but he was pretty dang close.
There was one guy over there in the center of the field.
You don't know what the wide receivers
away.
would have done and blocked and stuff like that, but I'm saying like that play was just, and it's been, I mean, on social media and on NFL, ESPN, everything, like everyone is talking about how something like that just can't happen, and it's so true. I mean, to this day, I'm still mad that it even was a factor.
Yeah,
it's terrible that something like that, and with a crew that actually Brady gave a lot of praise to in the post game, saying that we have actually worked with this crew before and they do a great job. But my problem with it was, why was Rex Ryan even in the picture? That's what gets me so mad, is that he's one of those coaches that always is in the spotlight. He shouldn't be up on the ref as closer than we are right now, and he was. He right next to him, yelling at him. Let the guy do his job.
Yeah.
And do your job in turn. Get out of the way.
He's infamous for that. He's infamous for being that high action, crazy, kind of psychotic at times on the side of the field or behind a microphone. I mean, get him on a microphone, you just want to about choke him. But I mean, it was a bad play by him. Whether it was intentional, not intentional, there can be a lot of questions asked there. But he has no right to be on that field. And I understand that the call they made of the catch is good, but it has to be down as to where he caught it, because you can't predict how far he would have gotten. And like, I completely understand that.
Right, and I, as a Patriots fan, I was like, okay, at least we're getting that.
Yeah.
Come to find out, reading today, that the catch should have never been allowed, actually. The ball is caught, if the ball is in midair before... the whistle blows while the ball's in midair. So in other words, Amendola has not caught it yet before the whistle's blown. He shouldn't be. It shouldn't have been caught. It should have been just a down over.
That's what I was expecting that. Just
right,
read
and
it down.
I was too. But all I could think of was, of course, this would happen. The Patriots have a little momentum, and they have this big play in front of them, finally going their way, like a big play for them that goes their way. And I'm saying that as obviously Pats fan people would be like, oh, it always goes your way. I'm like, well, not necessarily. They work pretty hard to get where they are.
It was a lot of dump offs. It was a lot of
Right.
short passes.
And they were doing that with LaFell as well, which they haven't done in recent time. And he was getting 20 yards, 25 yards. And to see that, but to actually see with Amendola that happen, that's what made me so mad is like if we finally got this big break against the Bills, they messed up and it comes back. And it's just terrible.
It is. But, you know, thinking about the refs, there are definitely a couple of questionable refereeing problems in the NFL on Sunday. So we have our bad whistle blowing with the Patriots. How about the refs letting Case Keenum play with a clear concussion?
Oh, I know. Unbelievable. Like,
I mean, that kid is out.
He gets up. He didn't even get up.
He got helped up and then he collapsed.
He got somewhat helped up on one knee, tried to get up himself, and just collapsed. Still gets the play. Are you kidding? And it's not so much. I get the transition with the refs. It's not so much the refs. They're part of it too. As a coach, how do you sleep at night?
Yeah.
As a coaching staff, how do you sleep at night, letting you know that you just saw what happened to your player? You're going to send them back out on the field. I get that they're grown adults and they can make their own decision from time to time. This isn't a kid in Pee Wee, but that's ridiculous. It's a human being.
No,
still.
that's awful. And I mean, we will not be done talking about that probably till the start of next season, maybe even into next season. You think about, so he gets hit, is on the ground. I mean, he's clearly out, tries to get up, can't. Then his player helps him up halfway, and then he just collapses back on his own. Now you've got the ref behind him, which his job is to watch the quarterback, but he was trying to spot the ball and wasn't paying attention, which there's downfall number one. You have all the refs that didn't see it. You have the coach who didn't deal with it. You have the players around him. The guy who was picking him up watched him just collapse. You know something's wrong. Then take it the next step further and say, how many of those people do we have upstairs who are doing nothing, who are supposedly doing nothing but looking out for that?
Right.
How do we miss that? I mean, that's
Not
the
only
most
that,
obvious
not only
concussion
that,
you can see.
you have probably a 60 by 40 foot scoreboard, a video playback that is showing the plays over and over again. So you got another 30 to 40,000 people in the stadium that are also seeing it right away.
And if that kid took one more bad shot while he was already concussed,
no, it would.
It could have been real bad.
Yeah, the end, pretty much. I mean, that's what happens with these injuries is that one after another in such a short amount of time is where these long-term health effects take place.
Oh, absolutely. And when you talk about how the concussion works, although actually now that I think about it, I went to the movies last night and it just kind of popped in my head, so I figured I'd say it. They have the concussion movie with Will Smith talking about the NFL concussion protocol and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, hey, maybe they're just trying to hype that movie a little bit. You know, maybe there's something there. But
subliminal promotion. Oh, see concussion? Go see it this December.
It'll tell you. But when you get a concussion, now minus I've had several. It's the matter of your head rattling around inside your your brain rattling around inside your head.
Right.
And as a football player, although the helmets and the new padding on the insides and all of that, the new neck braces to kind of help limit that. Once you have it, what's your head gonna do? It's just gonna keep pinging back and forth. There's nothing you can do with it. So you gotta. I mean, you're talking about this isn't killing this guy's career. This could kill him.
Right, his actual life. Right. It's not. It's at the end of the day, it's a game.
Yeah.
Right. It's just one of those. It's one of those injuries that everyone kind of you take. They don't happen very often, or like I should say, a view like that doesn't happen very often. But when it does, everyone kind of has to step back and go, "Whoa!" Like we have to be careful about this. And it's sad that it has to wait to an event like this where it starts to come back into people's minds. Other injuries that came up that we were kind of talking about, some big ones throughout the year. One is the Broncos' decision to sit Peyton Manning because there's something going on. I think it's more than just a foot issue is what they were calling it, right? Or something like that. I think it's a lot more than that. And so they've decided to go with Osweiler against the Patriots this week.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I mean, like I told you 2 weeks ago, or when we were talking, somebody had to do it. He was done. I mean,
I think every athlete absolutely wants to go out, and I'll go as much as say this: every athlete wants to go out the Derek Jeter way.
Oh yeah.
They want to win that game and go off into the sunset, which is similar to what Jeter did on his last at bat in Yankee Stadium, a game-winning hit.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon almost did it.
Right, and Jeff Gordon, like, you can't get much better than that.
No.
Winning what matters most to you. Obviously, that wasn't a World Series, and everything like that. But every athlete wants to go out that way, and for Peyton Manning, it looks like his Super Bowl against Seattle was that only chance, and they didn't even come close.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, someone had to do it, and it stinks to tell a Hall of Fame quarterback it's time to stop. And have they done that with Osweiler?
And the thing with them too is you look at their division. So you got Kansas City at 5-5. You've got Oakland Raiders at 4-6. San Diego, who's completely out of the picture. So they have.
Unless you're a fantasy football owner, then keep playing San Diego players.
If you have any of them, play them. But if you're Denver, you can rely on your defense and hope to just kind of
coast.
Right. That's all you got to do. If you're really hoping Peyton Manning comes back or what have you, you're letting him rest. You're going to do your best to just get by. You have a good lead in your division. You only have the Patriots left, I think, that's really a super hard game.
Right, and you still got to play your 3 division guys at least once each still. So you still got to play Oakland at 4-6, San Diego at 2-8.
And then Oakland and San Diego should be easy games for them. And Kansas City's kind of that question mark. But again, so if they only lose those 2 games against the Patriots and Kansas City, they're still winning their division.
Right, they still got 11, 10 wins or something like that.
So I mean that still puts them at the top of the division.
Right.
And that lets Peyton sit and get healthy. So
yeah, you win. I mean, for Denver, you win the next couple games. Not the next couple games, but you win 2 out of the next 6 games. Kansas City has to sweep.
Yeah.
They have to win out
yeah.
to be able to take over that spot. So Denver, great spot. Those are, I mean, just looking at some of the divisions, talking about that Carolina, amazing spot. I mean, they need to win a couple more games, and they've locked up the NFC South. Arizona is kind of in the same boat that Denver is. Mm-hmm. New England, they win against Denver, and I think Miami wins. They've already locked up the AFC East before the calendar says December. That's insane. As a fan of football, that's insane that you still have a month left of football. Yeah. And there are 2 teams that can wrap up their division. Now, obviously, they're undefeated, so it kind of makes sense. They're both 10-0, but it's insane to think about that.
And neither of them really have a division that's bad. I mean,
well, we just saw Buffalo gave New England a heck of a game, and the Jets did it, and they have to play in New York and in Miami the last 2 games of the season, where you might have a team in the Patriots that's already clinched the AFC East and maybe sitting people for health reasons.
Yeah.
I think they did it last year, and they could do it again this year.
It's obvious this year. You look at the injuries they have. They've lost Dobson. They've lost Amendola. They've lost Edelman.
Right.
Defensively against them, Dion Lewis. I mean, defensively against them, this is just getting easy. Minus some guys are stepping in, like Harper. He's doing really well. He looks fast. He looks agile. He looks good. But they are hurt.
Right.
I mean, they really got to catch some breath and get some legs underneath them to be able to make that playoff push. Because, I mean, you look at some of these teams that aren't undefeated. First off, we'll start with Arizona. Who can beat them? I mean, they had those 2 losses early in the year. They just beat Seattle in Seattle.
Right, which for 3 years we've been saying can't be done.
When Seattle's finally playing like old Seattle does. So, I mean, they're really good. We look at the Bengals, 8-2. They've now lost 2 in a row. Mm-hmm. This is kind of their headline. This has been them all the way through. They did still look good, but I mean, I don't think they're a Super Bowl team.
Super Bowl team. They're not a win a playoff game team. They haven't been since their coach took over.
No. And then you've got Green Bay and Minnesota tied at their division. Both of them I could see as being able to put a good push into the playoffs.
Right.
And then
I like both those teams too. They're fun. Minnesota's fun to watch right now.
They are. I mean, what is his name?
Pick one.
Quarterback, Minnesota.
Bridgewater.
He doesn't do a lot, but he does enough.
Right.
And he's not a runner, but he runs if he has to. And so, I mean, it's interesting for sure. Green Bay looking better after their little skid.
Lacey finally looking like the Lacey of old last game a little bit,
I'm not giving it to him.
Not giving it to him. No,
That
not
guy's
yet?
overweight. He's got a lot of issues. Then all right, so then you look at the two divisions that we have. Well, I guess two divisions that are both absolutely atrocious. You got the AFC South and the NFC East, who neither should put a team into the playoffs at all. But who wins the division?
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of chatting about this a little bit. You think that even at 3-7, last in the division, Dallas can still make that push because of how bad Philadelphia, Washington, and the Giants are. Giants have shown that. Are they a good team? Yes, but can they close out games? No. They've lost 3 games in the fourth quarter this year, and I'm saying fourth quarter like the last minute of the fourth quarter, not like I lost it earlier in the quarter.
I would say this, and I'll be very.
And I
bold
like
with
Dallas.
it.
I really like that with a healthy Romo. I really like the fact that Dallas could make a push, considering they still got to play these 3 teams.
Dallas is 3-7. Okay, 3-7. I would put $100 right now. Dallas wins that division.
And they're probably going to win it at 9-7. So, well, think about that. So they're going to win the division. If they go 9-7, they won out the rest of the year.
They won't win out the rest of the year.
Then they're not 9-7. So you're saying that a team that's 8-8 is going to get into the playoffs. That's terrible.
They could be losing. They could have a losing record.
Now that was the NFC South last year, right? The 7-9 team got in.
Yes.
That's terrible.
Yes. And
oh my God.
Is the AFC South any better? I mean,
no.
Indy can't decide whether we're playing Luck, whether he's still too hurt, whether we're playing Hasselbeck. Who's catching a ball over there? You've got Houston, who kind of started to come to life. But you can't look at Houston and go, they're a good team.
Right.
They're not going to beat a Patriot. They're not going to beat a Green Bay. They're not even going to beat an Oakland.
And I think actually they play the Patriots later on this year, too.
Yeah, that'll go well. Although I will say, when Houston plays the Patriots, sit Tom Brady because he's going to get hurt.
Oh, how many times did he got hit?
Oh,
I think
word.
it was a dozen times he was hit by Rex Ryan's defense.
Oh.
They hit him hard. They hit him often.
Oh, it was nonstop. I mean, they just kept getting in. Now you switch that over and go. Now we've got J.J. Watt, Javion Clowney, and Vince Wilfork coming through the line to hit my quarterback. No thanks. If my line's playing that bad, I'll sit Tom.
Yeah, and their offensive line is very hurt. Their depth is very thin right now in the offensive line. They just sat their rookie center. I'm gonna forget his name, but they had him the entire year, and they just sat him mid-game and put him at right guard, I believe, and brought back their former center who was playing right guard. They basically flip-flopped them. Wicked bold move in my mind, because you have someone that you've had a lot of trust in for 9 games, and then midway through a very tough game, a very tough defensive team, deciding to switch back. I just thought it was a very interesting move by Belichick.
And it didn't work. Oh, it didn't work at all.
No,
I mean,
Brady still got hit as much as they did.
I've never seen Brady get hit that much, ever.
And get back up.
Yeah. He got rocked several times. I mean, he had one where the guy was sprinting in full speed. You just watch Brady off his legs, just going backwards. You're going, all right, he's done.
Yeah, and there were a couple shots at him too. That there was the pick that was overturned, the one towards Gronkowski, where the defender hit him, and he wasn't even moving. Like he was standing there watching the play, and the defender gives him a cheap shot. So I mean, unfortunately, I think they do count those as quarterback hits.
Oh yeah.
Ironically, he's not the one that got hurt in that game. Tyrod Taylor takes pretty much cheap shot type of flag where I forget who was pushing him over, but a Patriots defender kind of gives him a little shrug at like maybe a couple seconds after he already throws the ball. He falls down and hurts his shoulder. I thought it was his collarbone the way he was holding his.
It looked like it. I mean, he just dragged that arm like
but
it was
the rest of that game, he threw pretty well. He was out. The problem was he kept underthrowing his receivers. His receivers were, I don't know if it has a lot to do with him just not timing it out right, or his receivers are just, or that's what it is with his arm. He wasn't able to get as much on it.
Your pain's going to limit how far you're going to throw that
E.J.
ball.
Manuel was on the sideline warming up that entire quarter or half or whatever, however long that was, and didn't see the field.
Yeah.
So there's something Tyrod was able to at least push through it, and it doesn't surprised me that Rex would keep him in there as opposed to taking
but I
him
will
out.
say this: if it does come out that they let him play with a broken collarbone, there's another big topic for discussion of why are we letting these kids on the field
Right.
that are seriously hurt.
One thing that I kept noticing, and maybe you can too, the Patriots are when they're able to do a huddle, a no huddle. We're huddle up, not no huddle. We're huddle up. You can call in, by the way, 527-6449. It's 802-527-6449. We'll take your phone calls. We haven't had one yet, so we're still looking for the one. So please call in, be the number one. We'll have an anniversary party next year for you right before Thanksgiving. So something I noticed during the game, which really started to frustrate me, and I was talking to my father about this, was the Patriots are very used to being quick. Let's get to the ball. Let's get quick. A lot of injuries in Buffalo. Lot of injuries. But not so much staying off the field. Injury, get off the field, back on in 2 plays. Do you think, I know I'm throwing conspiracy out there, wicked, but do you think that it's in their heads, let's slow this team down any way we can? If you think you're hurt, just go down and we'll put you in a couple plays like you're supposed to. There was one play on the defensive tackle.
Unusual.
It's not unusual, but there was a defensive tackle. This is the one I'm thinking of. Defensive tackle for the Bills. Play is over, and he just went down. He was standing and then fell down. I went, what the heck is going on? I said, there's no way he's hurt. He comes off the field, 2 plays later, he's playing again. Why? To slow the Patriots down because they've thrown 2 20-yard plays in a row?
It could be a mix of a lot of things, but it's not uncommon. I mean, they do that for injury reasons, for checking on Tyrod Taylor, checking.
Right,
to
and I
find
know
out
the
whether he
reason
can stay.
that the rule is in there. I'm saying my conspiracy is the Bills manipulated the rule to slow down the Patriots because time stopped, and that's what drives me
Rex
nuts.
Ryan.
Right, and that's why I think it's more than possible that it really happened because it's Rex Ryan.
No, I wouldn't put it past him, but I mean I wouldn't put anything past him for that matter. So,
All right, quick at you. Thanksgiving, Philly at Detroit. Who you got?
I'm a Philly fan.
I know you're a Philly fan, but who you got?
They suck. Detroit.
I mean, every year I put Calvin Johnson in my lineup for fantasy football. I got him running again. He's a Thanksgiving hero. That's something he likes to do.
Hey, if Tampa Bay can put up 5 passing touchdowns,
right,
Calvin ought to catch 5.
I mean, it's one of those games where you're just getting settled in for Thanksgiving. You're probably going to miss most of the first half because it's turkey time. Sit down, unbuckle your pants, watch the second half.
That's why I make sure I sit in a spot where I can still see the TV.
Right. Okay. There you go. Right. Yeah. See, our situation is we got the living room. There's stairs. There's another one. Sometimes we can get on that other side and just look over. My uncle's got the 180-degree kind of like TV going on. Oh, I can see the whole thing. Okay. Good. Carolina at Dallas is probably the biggest game of Thanksgiving. And I only say that, and it's funny to say it's the biggest game because Carolina going in at 10-0, and Dallas is last in their division. But everyone's going, that's the game of Thanksgiving. And it's because Romo's healthy.
He's not healthy.
Well, he's playing.
He's getting better. The question for that game is going to tell us whether or not Dallas can win that division. If Dallas comes out and plays tight with Carolina, they're going to win that division. If they come out and get murdered by them, they're
right,
not.
because we were just saying that like Dallas pretty much needs to win out, if not come close. And losing a game against Carolina, that limits your possibilities.
It does, and I have no expectation for Dallas to win that game, none at all.
Right, and I think that actually plays in their favor because they're in Dallas on Thanksgiving, let's call it prime time because that's the game where everyone's finally done eating and now they're watching.
Yeah.
But there are no expectations. You have a team that's 10-0 that's trying to write history, and you have a team in Dallas that's last in your division. You have your quarterback back, you get that, comma, back, and there's just, like you said, like we were saying, there's no expectation. Just go out there and play.
Yeah.
That's why I really love Dallas on Thanksgiving. I think it could be a really interesting game.
They'll go out, they'll have fun, and it's a game of proving where their season is.
Mm-hmm.
Are they done? Do they call it a year?
At 3-8, it's not going to get any better.
No. And if they go out there and look like garbage, and if anything happens with Tony Romo, you got to call it what it is. You can't risk him because next year's going to be ruined. Same thing with Des Bryant. You keep your guys healthy. You go out there, you try to win your football game, but if you're just going to get murdered, call it what it is.
Right.
Put Castle back in.
I like Matty Castle. Chicago at Green Bay. You want to say Green Bay?
No, I have to say
You
Green
have
Bay.
to say Green
how,
Bay?
How do you
I
how do
wanna
you
say
root
Chicago.
against Green Bay with Brett Favre getting his number retired? That stadium is going to be electric
And cold.
and cold,
Right,
which
and
plays in Green Bay's favor.
Right, and same as Chicago. It's not uncommon that it's cold in Chicago, obviously. But Green Bay, you have Brett Favre having his number retired and Lambeau by Bart Starr, who is the former quarterback and great Hall of Famer for Green Bay.
Yep.
3 amazing, if not arguably the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history for not I'm not saying
For one team.
right for one team. Insane. That place is going to be.
It's going to be emotional. It's
Right.
going to be electric, and it's a great game for it too. Green Bay's trying to kind of bring themselves back to life.
Right.
Chicago is just
Now flip
up.
flip that script again. Is that Chicago is kind of in the same boat as Dallas is. There's no expectation.
no, there's not. I mean, Chicago's lost Forte, Alshon Jeffrey can't stay on the field.
Right.
And I don't know another receiver that they have. I mean,
I only know Bennett.
I
He's not the wide receiver. Martellus
yeah.
Bennett. He's not a wide
Yeah,
receiver.
yeah,
He
he's
puts
the
up
tight
wide
end.
receiver numbers, but he's not a wide receiver.
No, I mean
But you have those two teams in Dallas and Chicago. They don't have anything to lose. You go
No.
out there and you chuck it up. Let's see what happens.
And I'd say that Dallas has a better chance than.
But you do have Langford for Chicago, who has shown at least in the last couple games, and
He can be good.
he can be good. Now, my question to you is that proven how good Langford is, or does that prove how good or how similar the Chicago game plan is? You fit the same piece in the same. You put any
He's
person in
just
the same piece, and it still works.
He's a similar player to what they want their running back to be. He's that
Right.
same style. And comparing the two teams, I'd favor Dallas winning before I'd favor Chicago winning, because that stadium is just going to be insane. I mean, I can't wait to hear the fans. I can't wait to see the speeches. I mean, that place just isn't going to stop being a fun show.
Right.
But I mean, we'll see. I mean, it is football. You never know. Anything can happen.
Talk real quick just about. I know we've kind of go into depth a lot about the NFL, but Gronkowski, and a lot of people are like, "Who are you going to have cover him?" I'm assuming, and obviously I'm not an NFL coach. I wouldn't be here if I was. That Talib is someone that for the Broncos will be covering him, only because Talib is he's a big cover man, and if all people on your defense, he's that kind of guy that you would have play. I look back at Gronkowski's numbers. I was just doing some research. 11 receptions, 197 yards, 1 touchdown. That is an amazing day for a wide receiver or anybody for one day. That's his last 3 games. Where's he been? I don't know where. Everyone's saying, "Oh, Gronkowski, you can't cover him." Looks like they have been.
I think it's a little mix of a lot of things. Edelman out changes everything.
Absolutely.
You no longer have double coverage. Are you going to double LaFell? No. Are you going to double Amendola? No. And now you're putting rookies in there. You're putting and second-year players with Harper and what's the other guy with the dreadlocks?
I don't know.
I can't think of his name.
I don't know my own team.
You're not going to double
Right.
up any of them. Who are you going to double up on? Who are you going to triple up on? Gronk.
Right.
And you can get away with it because you can run single coverage on the rest of them.
So, I mean, that's part of it. Like, if you have someone like Osweiler who goes in and has an average day, the team's beatable. Where's Brady going to throw to? How can he throw to his main weapon has been.
Harper's his main weapon.
You're calling Harper over LaFell.
Yep.
And what I mean, LaFell's got more of a chemistry with him. So why is Harper all of a sudden this guy who's played?
Harper has something to prove, and he has. He should have been the starter. Yeah, he is fast. He's got great hands. He's got a lot to prove.
His hands were relevant. This I think on his arguably one of the best catches we've seen this year, where he caught it draped over a defender, was eventually called back. But I mean, that was one of those hands. All of a sudden, I was like, "Whoa, who's this guy? I haven't even heard of him."
Yeah, I mean, Harper's got the most to prove. He wants his spot, and he's good enough to do it. He's going to be his target. I mean, LaFell, Amendola, neither of them were going to take over
The receptions at
Edelman's
Edelman.
spot.
Right.
It was going to be one of these young players. It was either going to be Harper or it was going to be that kid with the dreadlocks. I can't think of his name. He caught a ton of balls. Not a ton, but I mean, he caught several. But either way, fantasy-wise, is LaFell a good play? I wouldn't peg him. If you got to play anyone, Harper's your guy.
Harper's your guy. Okay. So I mean, that's a waiver pick. I mean, I think usually Wednesdays are the time, but
Yeah.
If he's still sitting there, pick him up, and that's what JT says. So, talked a lot NFL right now.
Oh, yeah.
Let's skip on over to well, I guess your choice, dealer's choice.
Well, we're talking football, so we might as well
Let's go
stick
back.
with football.
So let's stick with college football. The rankings came out. I was kind of shocked. I think most of the nation was shocked at what the committee came up with. I was under the impression the committee was in place to kind of wean out the people that didn't have a great strength of schedule, like someone like Iowa, who is ranked at 4th right now under their rankings, and a team like Notre Dame, who was 4th, jumps down 2 spots to number 6.
I'm sure.
And they won. Notre Dame won.
All right, so I don't like Iowa. I don't think they belong in there, but I don't like Notre Dame either. BC has a great defense. They have the best defense.
The best defense. Like, I need to throw it out there. I'm not saying it because I'm from Boston. I'm trying to put it into context. Notre Dame was number 4. They beat the best, statistically, the best defense in all of college football this year and dropped 2 spots.
But this is the problem. They played awful. They looked awful. Did they win? Yes. But are these guys just going off wins and losses? No, because otherwise you'd have these teams that are undefeated up top. It's not about the win-loss. It's about how you play. And they're just not playing well enough to be there. Is Iowa? No. They should be gone. And they will be. They're not going to stay there. Michigan State, put them right there. Michigan State has a good chance of going there. Let's see.
The problem with Iowa is that they don't.
Although-
they could very well be undefeated the rest of the year, and have not played really anybody.
No, and this is the game for Notre Dame this week at Stanford. If they win that game, they take 4. They'll have it, hands down. That'll be theirs.
Well, yeah, with
They gotta win that
Stanford
game.
at 9. That's a huge game. It's probably your best game of the week.
No, I want to go that far.
Really? Okay.
All right, so we've got Oklahoma State. That is always a game that's insane to watch. And then you've got Ohio State at Michigan.
And Michigan.
All right, so first off, Michigan, are they good enough to beat Ohio State? Well, quite frankly, I'll take the Syracuse Orange over Ohio State right now. They've got 2 players who declared for the NFL. You've got a running back who went off the handle.
Why so soon? Why declare so soon?
Their team fell apart. There's no chemistry.
There must not be, right?
That team is one person for one person. They are about getting to that next stage, and that is it. Peyton? No. Sorry. So Ohio State has lost it. I mean, it's no longer about becoming a good player. It's about get me to the next stage.
Right.
They're just gone. Their quarterback controversy, their running back having a loss of common sense. You don't go bad-mouthing your coaches.
Right. Of all people in all sports, college football, you just don't talk bad about the coaches because coaches for football in college, they are the king. Like, and I'm not trying to put them on a pedestal, but that's the way that the hierarchy works in college football. A college football in NFL, you have your general manager or your president. They hire, but overall, that president, that general manager is your top person. You don't have that in college football. Your general manager, everyone is that coach. That's who your main person is.
Well, and in all honesty, a head football coach is to most of these schools, to these high ranking schools that are always here, they're almost bigger than the dean. I mean, they really run the school. They do.
I agree. I absolutely agree with you. I'm saying like that, and that's what I mean. Like in college football, colleges have a president, but they're not the face of college football. They're not the face. Most of the time, they're not even the face. I can't tell you what these presidents look like for these coaches. But I know who the coaches are.
Yeah. And if you go to those schools, you don't know who the president is, but you know who your
team is. You know more about your team than you do about your administration that runs the school. So
and so far, while we're talking about coaches, we've got all these teams that are going chip
with Philadelphia,
chip.
right?
LSU. How do you fire a guy who has been one of the most winningest coaches?
What was it? I know this is an insane stat. He was like 100 and something. Like I want to say like 100 and like in the teens, 100 in the teens, and like 30 something in however many years he's been there, and you're getting rid of him.
And they're saying
they're saying over 100 wins, 30 something losses, 2 SEC championships,
a title.
Sorry, 2 SEC titles and a national championship in 10 years, and they're saying that wasn't enough.
This is college football. You're not going to win every year. You're just not. I mean,
and they did that between Alabama's hierarchy, hierarchy, I guess, if you will, their reign, where they won 3 out of 4 years, something like that. So you've been fighting for 10 years with a team from Alabama that has just been insane throughout that time frame, and you were still able to get a national championship in there and 2 SEC titles.
Yeah.
And you're getting rid of your coach because he's not producing now. And that's sadly where we are today.
Yeah.
What have you done for me lately?
Well, the one thing I can tell you right now is, as an Eagles coach, you want Chip Kelly, please take him. Get him off of my team. I don't care where he goes.
As Chip Kelly, let's put our Chip Kelly hats on right now, or visors for that matter, and say, I failed at being an NFL coach, or did I fail at being an NFL coach? Because obviously it didn't work out for me. I tried it for 2 years. 2 years he's been there now?
3.
3 years?
This is his 3rd year.
This is 3rd year, and it just isn't working out. Is he a failure as an NFL coach, or is he just not an NFL caliber coach? There's a difference.
He's not an NFL coach.
So he's not necessarily failed at being an NFL coach. He's just not an NFL coach.
He tried bringing the college style of play to the NFL, which in a lot of ways, in some ways it did work. I mean, there are times when, if the Eagles were healthy, last year when the season started, the Eagles were phenomenal. They looked great, and they outran everyone. Well, what happens with that? Your players get hurt.
And
things go downhill.
And defenses catch on. It's not that kind of. It's what you always hear from these college players. You can't run east and west. You got to run north and south eventually. You're trying to get to the outside. These players in the NFL are bigger, faster, and stronger. And that's where you see some of these college players, they don't translate very well into the pros. Someone like a Tim Tebow or Robert Griffin III or Vince Young, for that matter. These players that are known for running in college that can't do a thing.
No. And there's a reason why the NFL is different than college. There's a reason why there isn't another NFL team out there running that college-style play. It's not going to work, and the Eagles put a lot of hope into Chip Kelly. College, take him back. He'll do great for you. He did great at Oregon. I'm sure he'll do it again. Go back to college. That's where you belong.
Where does a team like Philadelphia go now? If you don't get rid of him this year, what do you do from there? Because right now you're scrapping your entire system.
Nope. You're going to see Chip's gone. There's no way Chip stays there. He's going to be offered a ridiculous amount of money to go coach LSU or Florida or.
I'm here in Texas too.
Or Texas. You name where every school is going after Chip Kelly. Then you've got Bradford. Well, they didn't sign that extension preseason. Thank you. There are some good things that happened. You've got DeMarco Murray and you've got Ryan Matthews for the next several years. That's not a bad thing.
Right.
You have to fix your line. Your receivers are okay. You need a quarterback. Mark Sanchez is not that guy. We're going to keep trying to make him that guy. He's not that guy.
And he's proven
move
that
on.
over years and
Oh,
years in the
absolutely.
NFL.
So, I mean, we'll see what they do. I think the next several years are nothing more than a rebuilding year. But the benefit I have is even rebuilding, they still have a chance. They play in the NFC
East.
Thank you.
Exactly. Yeah, they still have a chance to win this division. And they're, like you said, they're terrible. And half of Philly is trying to kick, their head coach out. And they still have a chance to win the division.
Yeah. Oh, but we got back on an NFL. Let's get off
It
that.
happens. This is
All right,
rotary.
We're
We
done
can't get it
talking
taken off.
football. Let's go to NBA.
A topic that when we started this show, I said I am going to have nothing to say about the National Basketball Association. I am having so much fun watching one team in the NBA, and it's not even my hometown team. I'm not even talking Celtics. Golden State. 16-0 as of Wednesday, the 25th.
Today's the
25th.
Oh, yeah.
As of 16-0, by the time we go back on in next Wednesday, they have a chance at being anywhere, I think, from 19-0 to 20-0. They have a quick little span of games. How much fun is this team to watch?
When we first started this show and we were talking about the NBA and that kind of thing, I made mention of the fact that no one said Golden State could win another title back to back. Yeah, they can. Are you kidding me? Have you watched them? They kept all their players. Their timing on that court is unbelievable. Stephen Curry is making passes that, we've seen a couple other people be able to make some of those. This guy's just behind his back, over his head.
The plays and passes that he's making are the ones you see on YouTube after the guy tried it 40 times and finally did it.
Exactly. And it's not just him. You've got Harrison Barnes playing phenomenal. You've got Andre Iguodala playing incredible. Who's their other big three-point threat?
You also got Draymond Green, too.
Green, but it's the other guy.
You're good 4 out of 5. It's fine.
My names suck. I'm sorry. Their centers are playing well. They are just good. And they're not just winning by 5. They're not.
We've discussed this.
Yes.
They're winning by like 20.
Their margin is still over, I think it's still over 25 points per game.
That's insane. See, that's what's crazy is that this team is just meshing so well and so early. It's as if they were just picked up. They've literally picked up where they left off last season. And the best part for this team and for this organization is I believe most of these players are wrapped up for not just this year, but for several. Not just this year, next year. Like we're talking like years down the line. The same team that is dominating the NBA right now and showing no mercy to any team.
And this is the other thing.
It's going to be together for so long.
This team is selfless. There's not one person on that team going, pay me, pay me,
right.
pay me. I want to be the highest paid NBA player.
I want rings.
I want rings.
Right.
This team is young.
And I think
the
NBA has been missing this for so long. And the only really the only time I can think that it was very similar was when the Celtics brought in KG and they brought in Ray Allen to give Paul Pierce those pieces, and they went out. They won a title that year. It was one of those things that doesn't happen. Let's get some superstars together and see if we can win some rings. And then following that, you had the Heat do the same thing. They took in you have Wade, you have LeBron, and you have Bosh. But then very quickly after that, it became about the money. So, players can do it, but it eventually turns out that way. So when you're looking at a team like Golden State, there isn't that yet.
No.
Yeah, and I say yet because there's always a possibility that someone like Draymond Green be like, yeah, I think I should be getting paid a couple more $1 million.
And it's very likely. But the thing with all of it is they are young, they are winning. Their chemistry is amazing, and they have an amazing bond, and you're not talking a big 3. You're not talking about 3 big players.
Right.
You're talking about a
5.
full team.
Right.
A full team.
I'm saying 5. You have your 5 starters that are great, and then when you reach their bench, it's like
nothing changes.
It's just a rotation. It doesn't
Nothing
stop.
changes on that. The fact they didn't bench, but they let Stephen Curry sit the entire fourth quarter of the game the other night because they were up by 20 and kept a plus 10 lead for the
Right.
rest of the game
Right.
with Curry on the bench. I mean, these guys just don't stop. It doesn't matter who's in there, and if you're going against the starting five for the entire game, see ya, you're going to lose by 150.
So the magic sauce with Golden State. Do you know? Have you done your research? Have you found out what the heck the reason is this team is so good and undefeated this far in?
Well, I would say
because you look at it, and you go, and you're like, oh, they're 16-0, like NBA, that's huge. Okay, what's the secret? Is it one player? Is Stephon Curry your secret sauce?
No.
Without him, are they even somewhat decent?
Yep. I mean, yeah, he's scoring 32 points a game. Absolutely, I'll give him that. But it doesn't matter. I mean, that entire team doesn't matter who's in there. That, like I just said, they sat him the entire fourth quarter and still held their lead. I mean, they don't. There is no single player in that. Their fast break points are unbelievable, and they shoot like 100 three-pointers a game. I mean, it's hard to beat.
Right,
It's just hard to beat.
Yeah, a little fun fact. I love fun facts that I was looking up about Curry, and I'm gonna lose it in my notes. Had it somewhere. Don't remember. Okay, so they're 16-0. I was looking up their highest scoring players, and this is not just for Golden State. This is of the game. 13 out of their 16 games, he's been the high scorer.
For Curry?
For Curry. So
Yeah.
Stephen Curry has been the high scorer for the entire game, like both teams' highest scorer.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. I think I've used that word 1,000 times today, the word insane. But to think about your team is that good and you have this one player he's just dropping buckets left and right.
And this is the thing with him is you watch the highlights of these games and you watch the shots that he's taking. How many of these are layups? How many of these are
I'm seeing
crazy shots?
I'm seeing a lot of ball movement, which is key, and I'm seeing a lot of jumpers.
Oh, absolutely. What makes them so much fun to watch is they won't play necessarily one-on-one. You're going to see just pass, and then finally just someone take a shot. It doesn't matter who it is. Curry doesn't care. I mean, he's an assister too. I mean, his passes are insane.
Right.
But he also has one of the no, I'm not even going to. I'm going to be as bold as to say he is the best shooter in the NBA, bar none. And he could possibly be the best shooter of all time.
Time? Okay.
I
was with you for a second. I was like, oh, NBA? Yeah, I really can't think of anyone right now
This kid has
impressing
been
me more.
a shooter since college. I mean, just through the roof. And we watched a highlight of a step-back jumper that gets blocked as he's pulling the ball up and still swishes a three-pointer in. He has that much concentration and control of the ball and knowing how to shoot that ball.
Right.
It doesn't matter. He is so good. And he's on fire right now, absolutely. And will he slow down?
On top of the world, I'm sure.
I mean, but this kid is unbelievable in every aspect of his game. His defense, stripping, what's the kid from Florida for Chicago?
Butler.
No.
Nope. That's the only one I know from Chicago. Okay,
Oh,
we're good.
No. Noah.
Oh, Noah.
Noah, for whatever reason, decides to bring the ball up the court. And, okay, Curry goes, freebie. Okay, takes the ball away and goes up and passes it for a dunk.
Right.
I mean, it's his defense, it's his passing, it's his ball skill, it's his shooting. I mean, this kid did a step back away from man, I'm really good with names today. LA Clippers, Blake Griffin and Chris Paul. Chris Paul's guarding him.
I can say it after you say it.
Chris Paul's guarding him. He does a crossover, comes back. Blake Griffin's coming forward. He does a step back and shoots a three in front of his face. It doesn't matter who's guarding him. His shooting is absolutely great. But you look at the difference between him versus a Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant of old days. Okay,
Thank you.
We're not going to
Thank
talk
you.
about Kobe Bryant right now. He's awful. But Kobe Bryant of
another time to hang him up, bud.
He's not taking every shot. He's not looking to control the game. He's taking shots when they're there.
Right.
If he's hot, he's going to take the shot. Absolutely. Why wouldn't he? He's the best shooter in the game. But if there's someone open, he's just
I
as
thought
likely to
I
pass
thought
it.
I had read somewhere they were close to 50 or something percent from the 3-point line, which is just I'll say it again, insane. Because for lack of better words, it's very uncommon. I don't know many people that know what stats are when it comes to NBA, but shooting 50% from the 3-point line, shooting 50% from anywhere on the court other than the free throw line.
You know the teams that you see that make 50% of their three-pointers? The teams that don't shoot them.
Right.
You don't see it from a team that shoots 30, 40 of them a game.
And that's what they're doing.
They're hard to beat. There's a reason why they're scoring 120, 130, 140, even 150 points a game. I mean, they are all good.
Yeah,
and
and
they
it's
can
not
all
and it's
shoot.
not even that they're out. It's so you get these teams that they shoot a lot and they win because they outscore their opponents. They're outscoring them, but they're also playing defense at the same time. Like it's not like they're like throwing up 140 points and they win 140 to 135.
No.
Like they're winning like 120 to like 90, 120 to like 85, 120 to 100.
Well, they beat the Lakers last night. What, 118 to 88 or 89 or
like that. Yeah,
somewhere
like 30
in there.
points, something around there.
Yeah,
I think
they
Kobe
murdered
said he could have went out there and thrown up 80 and still would have lost.
Yeah, and what are you going to do with these guys? I mean, are they going to be this hot all year long? Or can they go undefeated?
Very
No,
unrealistic.
It's not
right.
going to happen.
This isn't the NFL. There's not just 16
No.
games. You don't play one game a week.
And yes, it's early in the season, so competition still, I mean, you've got rookies, you've got all this stuff that's still got to try to figure themselves out, but this is what makes them so good. This team has not changed. They have picked up where they left off. There is no refining chemistry. There's no putting new people into the mix. There's, hey, we won a championship. We're going to win the same one.
How fun is it for someone like Steve Kerr, the coach, where he's got this team of just young guns? They're 16-0, and he's very familiar what it's like to be a 15-0 team at the very least, and a champion at that with the Bulls with Michael Jordan. I mean, it's a cool little comparison that he's kind of been here. He's been in this position before.
He has. I mean, and what makes this so much fun is that, again, it comes, and I wish the NBA, more teams could figure this out. All of this is happening because they've had the same team for the last 2-3 years. I mean, there's been a couple of people interchanged here and there, but their core has stayed the same. And now they're just locking them all in. And they're not going to change. This is their team, and they're all happy with it. They are all content with where and what they're making.
Not
And
one, not two, not
not
three,
three,
not
not
four,
four.
not five. Yeah, I mean, and that's
you're talking in
right.
a team, a selfless team that wants to win championships, and then you add in the kicker. Their average age is like 24 years old.
right. They're so young for an NBA team, and I think it's really funny when you're talking about their chemistry and how many years the core of them are going to be together. It's almost like watching the old, like comparing it to like old school, like college days. And I'm saying like old school. I'm saying like even in the '90s, where you have these teams of these freshmen that come up and they work with each other the entire 4 years, and for 2 or 3 years of their college career, they're just dominant.
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of what I see with this team from Golden State.
I think
They're
Steve
so much
Kerr's
fun.
gonna. He's eating it up. He's loving
And
it.
it helps.
There's no
And
way
it
for him
helps
not
that he's
to.
had this experience before in his own personal life as a player,
Oh, absolutely.
right? So
Because as a coach,
his lessons can
how
translate.
much coaching does he truly have to do for this team? There's question number one. My guess would be not much. You know, my guess would be Stephen Curry does 90% of the stuff that's out on that court. And I think for him, he is doing more of sitting back and going, all right, keep your focus. Let's
Right.
continue doing what we're doing.
Step in when you have to.
We're not. I'm not here to coach you. I'm not here to do any of this. I'm here to keep your head where it should be.
Right.
You know, you got to keep them playing for something, and they're not. This team looks like they're having fun. They are smiling all the time.
And I think that holds true for the NBA in general, and NFL very similar as well. But when you have a team like in like major leagues or something like that, a coach is a lot more involved in the game plan than you would have in NBA. In NBA, if you have those core players that are out there and they understand the game plan, there's very little coaching that comes into play unless it becomes situational.
Oh yeah, situational play. But I think with Steve Kerr, I mean, I really think that his biggest job right now is not only controlling the players' state of mind and keeping them understanding what they're doing, where they got to go, and continuing to build, not get lackadaisical and kind of lose what they've got, but also for himself. He has to continue being, I got to keep working. I got to keep figuring this out. I got to keep finding ways to keep our team together and focused. When you go on stretches like this, you see it in high school sports, you see it in college sports, you see it in professional sports. You get on that roll. How quick is it to flip that switch,
right,
and then lose 15 games in a row? It can happen, and it happens like that. You lose that state of mind, you lose that peace within your team, and it can all go downhill. So he is loving and enjoying what he's got, and he's not having to do a lot of work outside of keeping everyone on the same page, and he's doing great.
We only got a few minutes left. Something I wanted to chat with you about. You didn't know that I was going to bring this topic up. You're a boxing fan. Thoughts and or comments about the new Creed movie coming out?
I saw it last night.
You already saw it.
I saw it.
Tell me, explain to me, because I'm looking at the previews for it. I haven't seen it yet. You did mention you went to the movies. I had a feeling that it wouldn't be that movie. Apparently, I've already seen it. I plan on seeing it. I'm not really concerned about spoilers, things like that. I see a movie like this. It looked really well done, and expectations really weren't there anyway because Rocky's done 1,000 movies already. In your opinion, did it live up to any expectations that maybe it did have?
It blew him out of the water.
Yeah.
Blew him out of the water.
So it was that kind of movie.
It was kind of up and down with slow points, and they did a lot of storyline. This was not your action-packed, nonstop, just gunslinging.
This is Rocky 1.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people will say, "Oh, I've watched Rocky, and I couldn't really get into it. There wasn't any boxing. There's no boxing in Rocky, basically, to the last few moments of the movie."
And that's this.
That's perfect. And that's great that they've gone kind of back to their roots, because some of the Rockies in between, it's more all fighting and less storyline.
This is an emotional movie. It is a realistic movie. When it does get to the fighting, it's fantastic. This is storyline based. This is building the character. This is building character of Rocky Balboa. This is building character of Apollo Creed. Where do these guys come from? What's the legacy that's carried on? What has happened since then? And so the whole Creed movie is kind of interesting because they didn't really do a whole lot with the previews, or at least I didn't see many of them.
I didn't either. I saw one during a football game, and that was it. I was like, whoa, this is coming out?
So the whole base start of the storyline is Apollo Creed has an affair, and his one-night stand knocked up this woman, and she has this son who is Apollo's son.
Right.
Well, his mom dies. He's in and out of juvie for fights and in and out of foster care.
It's kind of like that typical nowhere to turn.
Exactly.
Okay.
So he grew up wanting nothing to do with Apollo Creed. He doesn't have Apollo Creed's name. His name is Johnson.
Okay.
Okay? So he wants to be a fighter. He is a fighter. He's done it all through being a child. Well, guess what? Apollo Creed's wife takes him in out of juvie and raises him because his mom died and he was in and out of homes. He still ends up becoming a fighter. Well, he wants to be his own fighter. He wants nothing to do with the Creed name. He wants to do it on his own. He wants to prove it. And you don't know what it is he wants to prove until probably the last 5 minutes of the
That's
of
great.
The movie.
No, I'm glad.
But it was great.
Yeah, without spoilers. I mean, I think it's great that they kind of gone back to their roots of Rocky, because that's what it was. When I asked my wife, "Do you want to watch Rocky?" She's like, "Oh, I don't really want to watch a boxing movie." I'm like, "It's not. It's a love story."
Yeah.
Rocky's a love story, and I think that it's great that they're going back to their roots, where they're doing more of a drama, more of an emotional that builds up to that final battle, and that's
Wait
great.
till you see
great
it.
to see.
You're gonna love it.
No, I'm excited to see that. So we have less than a minute. Real quick, you got 2 undefeated teams left in the NFL. Who's the first to drop? Patriots. Last time 2 teams were 10-0. I think 10-0 in the same year in 2 different divisions. They played each other. Indianapolis and the New Orleans Saints played each other in the Super Bowl. So I mean, it's maybe hopefully history for myself. History repeats itself, but this time the AFC kind of takes over.
It's possible.
Yeah. So thank you for watching Huddle Up. If you did online or throughout Franklin County, I'm Paul. He's JT, and he color coordinates his polar ice water with his shirts.
I do.
So take care and see you next week.